Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on this special virtual tour for Halloween Eve. My name is Mara Walsh, and I will be your host tonight. I am so excited to be back on Zoom to host this virtual tour this week. I've been out and about on real-life tours for the past year, and I've been so excited. I've explored the Galapagos, witnessed tulips in Holland, explored Europe, went on an African safari, and I look forward to experiencing the Christmas markets in Europe next month with our group as well. It feels great to be out and about, and if you're itching to travel, please look up where we're going next and feel free to join our group. We have a lot of fun. And I have many tours planned for the next few years, one of which will include the places we're going to visit tonight virtually. I'm going to share that slide with you now so that you can see the actual itinerary for that tour. But essentially, we're going to experiencing it tonight from our armchairs, but feel free to ask me about the real life tour, which will be in 2024. We will be spending a week in Romania with our favorite tour guides to attend the Halloween party in Transylvania at Dracula's castle and explore a week in medieval Romania, as well as a week on a river cruise on the southern Danube with stops in Bulgaria, Serbia, Croatia, and Hungary. This tour is officially open for signups and spots are filling up. So if you are interested, please let me know. I'll let Georgiana share with you the spots we'll be exploring in Romania on this virtual tour tonight. As usual, I'll share a little bit about myself for those of you who don't know me. My name again is Mara Walsh. I'm in the United States and specifically between Philadelphia and New York. I say this because it is the Eastern time zone, which often gives people trouble in conversion when we promote our virtual tours. So it is 7 p.m. Eastern time in the United States right now. As you may know by now, when we're not traveling virtually, I host groups on physical tours. My tours are mainly for adults only, but I do have some summer trips, which are multi-age. Ages range from teens through senior citizens. If you want to follow our physical tours, please join our private Facebook group, Girl Travel Tours, where you can travel right along with us from your mobile device. When COVID struck and we were unable to travel physically, I started hosting these virtual tours with my tour guide friends. And thankfully, these virtual tour presentations have helped many tour guides earn some much needed income and have helped kept the excitement of travel alive for my travel group, as well as many of you. So I'm so happy to say that we have served both purposes quite well. We've done about 80 virtual tours in the past couple years, and the recordings are available on girltraveltours.com. We have some additional future virtual tours that we have set up for the winter months. And I have a slide up, I believe, to show you what those are. We have in November 30th, we have Toledo and La Mancha back with Manuel. And then we have a respite until January, where we'll start our tour series off with George with Cultural Tour of Great Britain. We'll go to the Canary Islands. We will have winter in Amsterdam in February, the Masada in February. We'll go on a journey with Sally to Machu Picchu at the end of February, and then back to Romania in March with Georgiana. If you want to be sure to see the promotions for these virtual tours and our physical tours, just go on to our website, girltraveltours.com, and submit a form so that you can stay connected. And we send out a weekly newsletter with that information. Okay, so let's review a few ways you can interact with us during this event. Feel free to ask questions about the tour director, or my travel program using the Q&A in the Zoom toolbar. I will do my best to leave the pertinent questions for Georgiana for the end, but if I can answer some questions during the event, I will do so as we get going. If you want to chat with me on the side, the chat is open and I will see your comments as we go through the presentation. And as always, I like to include an interactive poll to see what your connection is with this region. So I'm going to launch the poll now. And essentially the question is, what's your connection to Dracula's castle and Transylvania? I've been and loved it. I have a trip booked. I plan to go in the future, or I have no set plans, I'm interested in it virtually. So it looks like we have about half of the people who have already voted and have put their selections in. I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results. It seems like about half have no set plans, but are very interested in the location. And quite honestly, I can't imagine that you wouldn't be interested in this location on Halloween's Eve. So let's get right to it. Today, I want to welcome Georgiana back with us. Hello and welcome, Georgiana. Feel free to come on and I will allow you to take the controls so that you can share your screen and get us started in this wonderful Halloween's Eve virtual tour. You can tell I'm a little rusty, right? We haven't done these since August, and it's like, it used to be just sort of something I could do in my sleep, but now I actually had to practice a little bit before we got on today.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I do feel the rust a little bit. So hello, everyone. It's very good to meet everyone again. Or if you're a first timer here, my name is Georgiana and I'm a Romanian tour guide. I have been doing virtual tours with Mara ever since the pandemic, so since 2020. And recently, this 2022 has been a great physical season for us tour guides. So yeah, as Mara said, we are a little bit rusty in this virtual world just to get back on track. So I will take over from her and I will start sharing my screen. And tonight, I would like to take you on a virtual tour to Bran Castle. So we are going to attend the Halloween party at Dracula's castle. Now, if you've attended Mara's virtual tours before, I have done a Myths and Legends tour in 2020, an extensive one, I might say, where I focused on the history of this region. And tonight, I will not focus as much on the historical part. I would like to give you a taste on what it feels to be traveling to Transylvania. And you know what better location to celebrate Halloween party than at Bran Castle, right? At Dracula's castle. I could not think of any other location that's more fitted. And to me, in my head, this is that kind of experience that you have to do at least once in a lifetime. So my presentation tonight will mostly be videos. So if at any times you don't see the video playing very well, please let us know in chat and we'll see what we can do. And without further ado, this is a photo from last night. So right now I'm actually in Brasov. Brasov is another medieval town that we'll be speaking about tonight in the center of Romania. And Brasov is very close to Bran Castle because yesterday night I attended the first Halloween party at Bran Castle in 3 years. So the last one was in 2019, and then the pandemic kind of stopped this tradition, which has been lasting for more than 10 years here. And yesterday night, we attended the Halloween party. And let me tell you, I am here to give you an insider's sneak peek, so to say, on how fun it was. This was actually a projection. So there was a light show projected on the castle. So if it's your first time seeing Bran Castle, this is what it looks like. It's basically a medieval citadel. And from now on, we are going to take a virtual tour through Transylvania, right? Just as Mara stated, we will be doing this trip in 2024. It's a 7-day trip, Halloween trip to Transylvania. But in my opinion, it is very good to have the full perspective on what it feels to travel through medieval Transylvania. Because if you've ever read Dracula, right, the novel written by Bram Stoker, there are several locations that give you that medieval feeling, that horror feeling, that ghost stories. And what we're doing now through this itinerary, we're pretty much following Dracula's trail to Transylvania, because Vlad the Impaler is a very iconic historical character for us. So we will firstly stop at Poinar Fortress, which is the lair of Vlad the Impaler. That was his mountain residence, so to say. Then we will make a stop at Corvin's castle. Our third stop in the itinerary is Sibiu, which was named European Capital of Culture in 2007, and rightly so, and you'll see why more. later on. Then we'll stop in Sigishara, which is one of the last inhabited medieval citadels in Europe, in Brasov, where we are right now. And after Brasov, the last stop of our tour will be in Bran to attend the Halloween party at Bran. That's the time when everyone brings their best costume and they just go wild. So let's start with Poinar Fortress. Now, we speak about Dracula and we speak about Dracula's castle, but what exactly started this myth? This is Poinar Fortress, which was, as I said, the mountain residence of none other than Vlad the Impaler. Now, Vlad the Impaler was actually a medieval ruler in the 15th century. He did not rule for very, very long. His longest reign has lasted 6 years. That's it, just 6 years. But the reason why we still talk about him today, and he is one of the most known rulers, not just in Romania, but all throughout Europe, it's because of his actions. So he was fighting the Ottoman Empire, and he was fighting pretty much to protect Christianity against Islam, so to say. And because he didn't have a lot of time, right? He barely took the country, the chair of the country. He needed to really make a mark. And he decided to do so by using some very interesting torture methods. Now, I will share this video. There is a little bit of a background music together with it, just so you understand how this fortress looks like. So Poinar Fortress was lastly inhabited by Vlad the Impaler in the 15th century. Afterwards, for more than 500 years, no one ever lived in there. And you know why? Because this is considered one of the most haunted locations in Romania, and people say that they still hear screams during the night here. So no one wanted to live here after Vlad built it as his home. And another legend is people don't want to be here, as I said, because of the ghost stories, because Vlad, he punished all of the noble families that opposed him taking the throne of Wallachia, which was the Romanian region. Vlad wanted to punish them for opposing him, and he made them, obligated them, not just the men, but the women and the children too, to climb these mountains. You see, we are deep in the mountains. This is something that Bram Stoker read about. He read about the Transylvanian landscape, and this is what he described actually in his book. He later on put the image of Bran Castle on top of that description. So Vlad the Impaler punished the boyars, the noble families, by making them carry all the construction materials all the way to the top. Obviously, many of them died, and their ghosts are still said to haunt these walls. Now, Poinar Fortress today is more of a ruin, as you can see in this video. It's actually undergoing a restoration project, which we feel that by 2024 will be done, and it will look more according to the original project, right? Is exactly as it looked like during the time of Vlad the Impaler's reign. Now, to reach Poinar Fortress is quite of a challenge. There's 1,500 steps. You can see them leading towards the citadel here in this shot. 1,500 steps that you have to climb. From down below, you see also the street where we'll be driving on, all the way to the top. But let me tell you, the views surrounding this fortress are absolutely worth it. There's many videos on YouTube about this fortress, but the best videos are the ones that are shot from a drone because it's so high up. So as I was saying, Poinar Fortress is undergoing a restoration project right now. And this is a sketch of unimagined, these are not the original plans, right? The historical plans. This is imagined by a local historian how Poinar Fortress looked like during the reign of Vlad the Impaler. Now, Vlad the Impaler, this was not his royal court. This was his chosen home where he stayed with his wife, right? And he retreated here in Poinar Fortress in one of the last battles that he fought against the Ottoman Empire, right at the end of his longest reign, his 6-year reign. And this is where he made his escape from Poinar Fortress into Transylvania. I personally cannot wait to see if they're actually going to rebuild all of the towers of the fortress. I think that's going to be an experience to really look forward to. Now, in front of Poinar Fortress, because right now it's closed, but when it was open, this image would be the one that found you at the entrance, right? People put on a wooden stake. And that's because Vlad the Impaler did not get his nickname for nothing. He is known as the Impaler because his preferred torture method was putting people on a wooden stake. He didn't do this for practical reasons just because it was easier. He did it because it was, in a way, faster. And that way he could punish more people at the same time. As I said, he was fighting the Ottomans, and he was ruling over a very small country. Very, very small country compared with the immensity of the Ottoman Empire. He was leading more of a guerrilla war tactic strategy, so to say. So he had to shock his enemies, right? He couldn't really win by sheer numbers. He had to shock them. And on the left side, what you're looking at is actually a German chronicle of the time, because Vlad the Impaler ruled as at the same time when the printing machine appeared, in Germany. And Transylvania in those times was inhabited by Transylvanian Saxons. They were brought here from Western Europe by the Hungarian king to help him defend his territories. Now, if you want to find out more about the Transylvanian Saxon, I strongly suggest you watch the other tour that I've done with Mara, the Myths and Legends tour, which you can find on her platform. But let me tell you something, they were not good friends with Vlad the Impaler. No, because they were over in Transylvania, they had ownership on all the commercial trade routes, and Vlad the Impaler was not their fan because they didn't treat the Romanians right. So he constantly fought them, but he mostly fought the Ottomans. So the people that he put on stakes were Turkish. Now you see people chopping the dead body's limbs in front of him while he was having lunch. Well, that's just an exaggerated story that the Transylvanian Saxons helped propagate throughout Europe because they didn't like each other. The Saxons were very well in good relationships with the Hungarian court, and from the Hungarian court, it went on to all of the other royal courts that found out about this really ruthless ruler of Transylvania that drinks the blood of his victims, that likes to dine while other people are being killed. In a way, to us, even though that wasn't the real truth, maybe it was just exaggerated truth, is why we have Dracula's castle today in Bran Castle. It's why everyone knows about Vlad the Impaler, and that's what helped put Romania on the map 500 years later. So we can be thankful for that. So this is the other look from the path that you are climbing on, the 1,500 steps that I talked about, and then you're going all the way up inside the fortress's wall. After Poinar Fortress on our itinerary, we'll go to Corvin's Castle. Now, Corvin's Castle might look a little bit more familiar to you because it's commonly known as a popular movie set today. You can see it in Ghost Rider, or if you prefer horror movies, because we are, it's Halloween today, tomorrow, it is today for me. You might see it also in The Nun, which is a very recent horror movie. Now, Corvin's Castle is known as one of the most haunted castles in Europe, and rightly so. Corvin's Castle was built in the 15th century by John Hunyadi. You see the portrait here on the left. He was governor of Transylvania at the same time with Vlad the Impaler, and he was given Corvin's Castle by Sigismund of Luxembourg, but it didn't look 500 years ago, it didn't look as it looks like in this picture, right? He was just given a small citadel that was already there, and it was John Hunyadi that completed the castle as it looks today. Now, John Hunyadi, maybe it doesn't tell you, his last name doesn't tell you much, but Corvin's Castle does tell you, right? The last name of Corvin, well, in Latin, Corvin means raven. And that's because the coat of arms of the Hunyadi family is a raven with a golden ring in its beak. And this is the coat of arms that is decorating the walls of Corvin's castle in the interior courtyard. Now, it was John Hunyadi's son, Matthias Corvinus, that took this as his last name, and he is actually one of the most loved Hungarian kings of his time, and even up to today. Now, I will share a video of Corvin's castle while I share a little bit more details about it. This is a muted video, so it has absolutely no sound. It's actually a time lapse. Now, Corvin's castle, in my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful castles, as I said, in our country. And I also call it our Romanian Hogwarts, because it does impress the first moment you see it, and it's quite big. Now, it gained the nickname of one of the most haunted castles in Europe because, of course, there's many ghost stories tied to its history. John Hunyadi was also fighting the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was a very big threat for us back in the days, and we were the buffer zone in between the East and the West. Like, if they conquered these territories, they had free access on to Western Europe, and the other countries did not want to allow that. Now, what you're looking at are scenes from inside the courtyard, scenes from inside the castle. And the castle has actually gone through 3 different stages of construction. So we can speak about the first construction when this tower was built also in the 15th century. Then it underwent another restoration, restoration or additions in the 17th century. And the last one has been done in the 20th century. Actually, currently, parts of Corvin's castles are still under restoration today because it's such a huge building, and archaeologists are still finding secret passages and hidden rooms even today. So in the 20th century is when the castle gained the beautiful pointy towers that you see. And that's because the architects of the time, which were Austro-Hungarian, wanted to make the castle look as fairy tale as possible. Little did they know that this castle is where a lot of Turkish soldiers have lost their life, because it was a fully functional medieval castle. It served the purpose that it was built for, and that is to defend. Most of the towers did hold prisoners, and when the castle's dungeons, underground prisons were overflowing, they had to keep them in the towers as well. What you're looking at now are drawings of Corvin's castle before the pointy towers were added, so a little bit more like it looked like during the time of John Hunyadi. It's really the sensation you have when you first see Corvin's castle does not match the presentation in a way, because not a lot of people expect the magnitude, the dimensions of it, because medieval castles generally tend to be a little bit more narrow, a little bit smaller, on top of a rock, very beautiful and stunning, but harder to reach. No, Corvin's castle is what I would say opulent. Another thing, sorry, I had kind of malfunction with the video. Another thing that Corvin's castle is known for is for its extensive, and please be aware, if you do not like seeing this, I am going to show a video with the medieval torture methods that are exhibited now inside Corvin's castle. So what you're going to look at is essentially objects that were used in the castle's prisons by the torturers. There are several objects on display. The first bigger instrument that these were the decapitating swords, and of course they used dolls to depict how the life of the prisoners were, or how they were getting secrets out of them. The first one is the inquisitorial chair. So this torture method is actually considered a psychological torture method, because typically if they wanted to get any secrets from you, they wouldn't put you on the chair. They would find someone dear to you and put them on the chair, and you would have to watch them suffer. The other one is the wheel of torture, when you would be hanged, tied by both your ankles or your wrist, and they would slowly turn the wheel until all your joints would crack. And if the wheel didn't do its job, then they would take a hammer and break all the remaining joints. Now behind them, you see, again, the impale, the wooden stakes. And another version of the inquisitorial chair. Now, sometimes this is a more rural version, so to say. Other versions of the chair would have a fire going underneath. And, maybe the worst part about the inquisitorial chair or the Iron Maiden, that had these pointy iron nails, so to say, was that they would pierce the skin, but they would never reach any internal organ as to kill you right away. So you would actually die 3 days later because of sepsis, because of blood infection, not because of the actual torture method. Now, the last one was the rack. The rack was reserved only for the more critical, the worst of the worst prisoners. That's when the priest was also present for your last wish. And it pretty much meant that they would stretch you out until your death. After Corvin's castle, we will go to the nearby city of Sibiu, just because they're very close to each other. Now, Sibiu, as I said, was called the European Capital of Culture in 2007, and more recently, Gastronomical Capital of Europe in 2019. And it's actually one of my favorite cities, also known as the City of Eyes. Now, this is a former Saxon city, just as Brasov, just as Sigiu or all the medieval towns that we will pass through in Transylvania are of Saxon origin, and Saxons were known for building fortified houses and fortified churches. And what you're looking at essentially is an example of Transylvanian Saxon architecture. As you can see, the houses are very bulky. They have a very wide foundation, thick walls, and on top they have these very lovely looking windows. Now, if you would like to share with us, why do you think the windows look like this? Why they were so small, and why did they choose this shape? They must have had a reason. What I can tell you is that in the attic, they used to store food, right? There was no refrigerator back in the day. And they needed to take advantage of the cold winter air, because when you needed food the most was during winter time, when you couldn't harvest or you couldn't produce. So because they stored all of their meat products in the attic, they needed to have windows that would permit air circulation, but no light coming in. So that's why all of the Saxon houses have this really interesting feature. Now, Sibiu, among all the other medieval towns, is the one that's kept the architecture the most. So it's pretty obvious once you step into the old town center and the great square that you are being watched. Now, what we're looking at is the Evangelical Church, which dates back to the 13th century, recently restored as well. The beautiful, colorful roof was added by the Austro-Hungarians. And from Sibiu, we are very close to the mountains, to the Făgăraș Mountains, which are part of the Carpathians. These are the tallest mountains that we have in Romania. And through those mountains, actually, we have what they call one of the greatest driving roads in the world, which is Transfăgărășan Road. Now, take a look at how the city is laid out. The Saxon architecture is characterized by houses very close to one another. We could actually call them not close, but glued to each other. There was no intimacy, but because they were known for building fortifications, they didn't need intimacy. They needed protection, so they needed sturdy walls. This church is actually a Protestant church right now. The second church that you'll find in the Great Square is the Roman Catholic Church, which upon the tower we're looking at right now. And Sibiu, unlike other, is unique because the old town, unlike other medieval towns in Romania, has 3 central squares. So we have the Great Square, we have the Small Square, and we have the Huet Square. The Evangelical Church, the Protestant Church, is located in the Huet Square. Behind it, on the left side, you can see the Small Square, and on the right side, the much bigger one, is the Great Square. Now, Sibiu is just beautiful to walk around, to people watch, so to say, and to just stay and enjoy good weather in a terrace, just watching people walk by or just walking around admiring the colorful houses. From Sibiu, we go to Sighișoara, which, as I told you, is one of the last inhabited medieval citadels in Europe. Now, Sighișoara was also built by the Saxons. It wasn't the biggest, it wasn't the most, it wasn't the richest Saxon town, but it is today one of the most popular ones in Romania because it's so well preserved. It's actually part of the UNESCO World Heritage, and it is also known as the birthplace of Vlad the Impaler, because we're still doing Dracula's trail through Romania, right? And what you're looking at right now is the clock tower, which has 2 different sides. This is the view from outside the citadel, and this is the view from inside the citadel. Now, in the central square, this square, Sighișoara, is not very big, but it's very beautiful and very colorful, and it has very narrow streets and cobblestone. So it looks exactly as it used to look in the 15th, 16th century, and it kind of looks like it's a timeless location. This yellow house on the right side, located in the city square, is the home of Vlad the Impaler's father, whose name was also Vlad, but his last name was Dracul, or Dracul in Romanian pronunciation. This is a fresco from inside the house, which you can see the resemblance between this fresco and the first photo that I showed you of Vlad the Impaler. So we know for a fact that they were related. And secondly, I would like to point out to the sign in front of Vlad Dracul's house. You see a dragon impaled by a cross. That's because that is the mark of the Order of the Dragon. Now, Vlad Dracul, or Vlad the Impaler's father, was part of the Order of the Dragon, a knight's order started in the 15th century for rulers of Europe that were fighting to protect Christianity. Because he was so proud as being a member of this order, he took the name Dragon as his last name. So the Latin name of dragon is Draco, or Draco, but unfortunately for him, in Romanian, Draco also means devil. So his last name, pretty much literal translation, is Vlad the Devil. On the right side, we have the signature of Vlad the Impaler, or Vlad Dracula. And it's also the name that Bram Stoker used as inspiration for the character of his novel, Vlad Dracula. So Dracula is actually not an invented name. It is the real name of Vlad the Impaler. And it just means that you are a member of the Order of the Dragon. But unfortunately, in Romanian, it means that you are the son of the devil. So an unfortunate translation, but at the same time, it does add mystery and that horror edge to the character of Vlad the Impaler. And the last city, medieval city that we're going to see before we attend the Halloween party at Bran Castle is Brasov, which is the same town that I'm in right now, another prosperous Saxon town. And unlike Sibiu, it has only one main square. You're looking at it right now, and it is called the Council Square. Now, the Council Square, because the tower that's normally located in a central square was the place where the local council would have its location. Let's take a look a little bit at the video and the main square on a nice sunny day. Now, Brasov is more industrialized than other medieval towns, but the old town is very well preserved. This town is located at the bottom of Tâmpa Mountain, and maybe you've noticed that Brasov sign on top of the mountain. It's our very own Hollywood sign as well. And you can actually climb on it or take the cable car right behind the sign so that you can admire the beautiful old town below. It was inhabited by the Transylvanian Saxons, as I was telling you before, just like Sibiu, but Brasov was a border city, right? So they needed to, they were the ones controlling the commercial route coming from Wallachia and going into Transylvania. And this is where Bran Castle actually comes into play, because Bran Castle was a medieval fortress built in the 14th century, but the sole purpose of Bran Castle was to defend the customs, right? And right now, we're going to start with Bran Castle, the location of the Halloween party, and what it is known today as Dracula's Castle. Now, for Halloween, Bran Castle actually organizes one Halloween party per year. So there's only one night, and it's always the Saturday before the date of the Halloween. So if the 31st actually happens to fall on a Saturday, that's very well. If not, it will always be on the Saturday. So last night, it was that Saturday. So let's take a look at the costumes that we had on. So of course, Vlad was dressed up as the Count Dracula, or Vlad the Impaler on the left side. That's the only photo of me in a full body costume. I was actually going as Van Helsing, the female version, because I'm the one hunting vampires. And behind us, there are several projections of the light show that I told you happened on Bran Castle. Now, if you attend the Halloween party at Bran, there are 3 components that are included in your pass. The first one is a gourmet vampire dinner. Everyone's invited, but you have to bring your best Halloween costume. So they do not allow you in if you're not dressed up for Halloween. Well, that's actually not true, but you would feel bad if you go inside and attend that dinner and you weren't wearing the costume, because the costumes that I've seen last night were all amazing. This is the setup for the vampire gourmet dinner that is included in the combo pass, the Count's pass, so to say. It's actually a 4-course dinner, and it was superb. Now, I want to share with you the menu, just because I wanted to read a few of the items on the menu. So as a starter, we were served the blood sausage, a blood sausage. That's something that maybe you've heard before, or maybe you've even tried. And me personally, I did try when I was a child, never liked it, but this one was absolutely delicious. So I know they've designed the menu in a way to make the items less appetizing, which is kind of the point because it's Halloween, but the food was absolutely amazing. Now, after the vampire gourmet dinner, we went for the Halloween tour by night, which is actually a private tour. We had a group in-house, a group of people that are visiting Romania right now. And Vlad is actually the tour guide, right? Not just Vlad, but me as well. So both of us, we were the tour guides of this group. We were doing a private tour inside the Bran Castle for the party, for the Halloween tour by night. And what I'm going to show you now is a long video of what I filmed last night inside Bran Castle. So I will just let the video play and let you get a flavor on what it feels like to attend Halloween party at Bran on Halloween night when they're celebrating the creatures of the night. Along the way, so I will let the video play with the background music that was inside Bran Castle. Along the way, I will insert comments here and there, but I also inserted comments during the video too.
Okay. Welcome to Bran Castle Halloween party. Squeeze it. Every space you see, you take. That's the cue to enter.
So because this was the first Halloween party that happened after the pandemic, so in 3 years, of course, everyone was excited to attend it. So the queue was very, very, very long.
We are not going to enter Bran Castle and the guards room.
Just go.
Everyone's waiting to show their tickets.
Go ahead, Sandy.
Maybe take the wind. There.
There you go. There you go. And you can see the fireplace. And this was actually the guards room, which has been turned by Queen Mary into a very lovely looking room, kind of like a hall, an entry hall. And she placed a fireplace in there.
Queen Mary was actually the second queen of Romania, and she is the one that redesigned Bran Castle.
Chronology of all the rulers of Transylvania. Welcome to Transylvania. We're inside Bran Castle and to the annual Halloween Grand Party, the first one after the pandemic. We are inside the first room, and right now we have Vlad the Impaler doing a tour of this room, depicting the chronology of all the people that ruled over Transylvania.
Even though this one is newer. The new fireplace, this wasn't here, so she started doing the...
Every year they bring an actor that does reenactments.
The actor's reenacting Vlad the Impaler. He's actually doing a very good job.
Go dots!
The Halloween party at Bran Castle is actually the only night in the year where Bran Castle is open at night, right? Because the rest of the year, if you want to visit it, you will have to visit it during the day. So you have to dress up for the occasion. Who knows, maybe even Vlad the Impaler might steal you that night. That's what he was trying to do in here. I think he was almost succeeding in this case.
Bye-bye. It was nice meeting you. Don't forget us 500 years later.
Somebody get a photo. Got it. Oh, the sword.
Larger than life character.
All right. So let's continue our journey. We will make you good company. Please pay attention to some details around, okay? You might see some surprises along the way.
And now, come with me. Come. I have the key for eternity.
Hello, Mitchell.
So from the guards room, we are going to make our way up the stairs into the Queen Mary's bedroom. Now, Queen Mary, the second queen of Romania, is the one that took over Bran Castle and turned it from a medieval fortress into a lovely summer residence. So that's why you see all the whitewashed walls and the wooden decorations inside, which is a little bit atypical for a regular medieval fortress.
Oops.
And we are now inside the castle officially. And this room is dedicated to Queen Mary. There's a couple of old photos adorning the walls and a few of her personal objects. Now, Queen Mary was very loved by the Romanian people. She has done many things for the well-being of the Romanians, even though she wasn't Romanian herself. Queen Mary was actually the granddaughter of Queen Victoria, and she married King Ferdinand, our second king of Romania, and came here and took Romania as her kingdom.
I just found out
After visiting Queen Marie's bedroom, we are making our way into the former Gothic chapel of the castle, which again was turned into a living room area, so to say, where they would have dinner. It is Gothic because we have the broken arch on the ceiling.
I like this level of emptiness here, so we're just going to wait for Vlad as he makes his way inside.
It's very rare to find empty rooms during the Halloween party at Bran Castle, so we were kind of enjoying that. Just admiring the decorations. And you know what? It is the only time of the year where you get to see Bran Castle decorated for Halloween.
You're invited for a Gothic dinner at Bran Castle during Halloween.
It's beautiful to just admire the wooden decorations. That door, for example, dates back to the 1700s. And we are now inside the Templars
We're
room.
going to make our entrance into the secret passage of Bran Castle, which was uncovered during the renovation stage of the castle. This was not done during Queen Mary's time in here, so it still looks exactly like in medieval times. That secret passage was used by the city council because we are currently in the administrative room of Bran Castle from the medieval period of it.
But Brasov started lending money and lending more and more. The kings couldn't pay back, so they said, you know what?
So while at Bran Castle, you get a chance to walk this narrow passage, which for Halloween is extra scary because they put that flickering light on top of it. And this was used for the administrator or for the local council to escape in case the castle was under attack, right? No one knew about the secret passage. And nowadays it leads into the former music room of Queen Mary. For Halloween, though, it turns into a horror room where Vlad the Impaler or other creatures take over. That's a portrait of Queen Mary and one of her children. She had 6 children in total, 3 daughters and 3 sons. And the music room was one of the places she spent most of her days.
Ladies, I really need to tell you, look back, look back, look back. Ah! That's how it works.
Enjoy your time as a mortal. I'm sure it will be brief.
See you never.
Welcome
to our Christmas.
One of the best parts of attending the Halloween party at Bran is all the interaction that you have with other people and with the actors. From this room, we make our way into the courtyard. Well, not into the courtyard, on the terrace overlooking the courtyard. And up towards other rooms of the castle.
Welcome to some of the best, one of the best places to admire the courtyard of the castle.
Step up.
Watch out. Welcome to some of the best places to admire the courtyard of the castle on the right side.
Normally, inside Bran Castle, there are 3 rooms dedicated to mystical creatures that are part of our Romanian folklore. Some of these creatures actually inspired Bram Stoker to create the vampire myth. So, for example, here we take a look at a projection of Yele. Yele are beautiful ladies dancing in the forest, but there's a trick. If you look upon them, you will go crazy and bedazzled, and you will never get back your reason. Now, we also have our very own version of centaurs. They come in the night and they haunt the villagers. And probably the most important mythical creature that we have in our folklore is the strigoi. Now, the strigoi is considered the living dead. He comes back after death to haunt the living. However, they do not look like the handsome vampires that we associated with today. They are actually bold. They have pointy ears. They have a long tail, a crooked back, and they are very, very ugly. Now, they would haunt you until you perform several rituals against them to get rid of them. And that's what Bram Stoker read about when he wrote Dracula the novel. He read about Transylvanian folklore. He read about this mystical land, and he also read about Bran Castle from medieval times. Also, he was inspired by all the ruthless acts of Vlad the Impaler, so he found the face to put on the character that later on became Count Dracula. Other rooms inside the castle that normally look just like regular rooms as designed by Queen Mary are turned into real horror rooms. This time we are looking at a room destined for a witch, a fortune teller. I like to say that attending Halloween party at Bran is like attending a medieval 600-year-old Disneyland for Halloween.
How would you like to be decapitated?
Yeah. Oh, very quickly.
All right. Got some. One more.
We got all these amazing people. Who do we eat first?
The lady to your right.
Any volunteers? You first.
Something is ready for dessert. What should it be? Got it.
Bran Castle actually dates back, as I said, to the 14th century, and it was used all the way up until the 19th century, when its purpose kind of disappeared. There was no need to protect yourself against enemies because we entered the industrialization era. And that's why when Queen Mary took over it, it was regarded as the great chance of this castle to be revived. Of course, it has its very own medieval torture instruments exhibition, and you are now looking at an Iron Maiden. We've talked about this torture method a little bit at the beginning. This is one of the best costumes I've seen all weekend because it's actually an anti-vampire Canadian suit, which was pretty much a mosquito net, since the mosquitoes are the real bloodsuckers. We're getting ready to exit the castle, so we are going down the stairs back into the courtyard. Easily, swiftly. The corridors are very narrow, and there's many steps to go down. But it is all worth it because you arrive at the main fountain in the castle's courtyard. From here, we entered the last secret corridor of the castle, which is called the Magic Tunnel. You're actually going down the former elevator shaft, because this castle had an elevator 100 years ago, put in there by Queen Mary, that wanted to reach the castle grounds much faster than by going up and down the hill. So she installed the elevator, and in the last years, the owners of the castle, which is still the royal family, have turned it into a digital projection of mystical creatures. Now, do take a look at the ceiling. See, it looks like a skeleton, because this is considered the dragon's lair, right? The dragon that lives underneath the castle. Each screen that you see is interactive, so the moment you position yourself in front of it.
Welcome to Bran Castle Halloween Party.
Sorry. So the moment you position yourself in front of that screen, it'll look at you, and one historical character will appear in front of you. Now, we've just finished our Halloween tour by night at Bran Castle. And of course, there's also the third component of your ticket, which is the more modern Halloween party. And that's reserved for adults only. Now, let's take a look on at how it looked last night. The castle grounds, of course, are decorated. There's a cauldron fired up. There are bars set up everywhere. And last night, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people attending the Bran Halloween party. The most amazing part, in my opinion, is that almost everyone wore a costume, and they were very good-looking costumes. Do you imagine yourself being here in 2 years from now? This party goes on until 6 a.m. in the morning, when the sun rises and all the creatures of the night have to make their way back into the underground. We also caught Vlad the Impaler dancing. He must enjoy the more modern rap music. And the last song of the night, a very popular Romanian song. I'm pretty sure you've heard it before. So that was it. The party went on for several hours. Of course, you don't need to see everything right now. It's much better to see it in person. But I wish you happy Halloween from Bran Castle. This was the party at Bran Castle, at Dracula's castle last night. And I am here if you have any questions regarding it. Now, I've only scratched the surface with everything there is to see and to do in these towns, in this area in Transylvania. But yeah, I'm ready for all of your questions.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Georgiana. I am so very excited now to actually go on this tour. And I know that I have a couple people that are on this virtual tour that are joining me in 2024. So if anybody out there is looking to join us, please don't hesitate to contact me afterwards. Georgiana, we do have quite a few questions. I know some of them came up in my mind as well, just because I'm looking forward to going there alone. So I'll bump those up to the top. The questions that were asked that have to do with us being there physically. One, what were the crowds like this year compared to a normal year? And also the steps, are there any other way into the castle other than climbing steps? And how does that work if you have challenges or mobility issues?
All right. So the crowd this year was quite heavy. A lot of people were excited to attend the Halloween party at Bran, but you know what? They have this policy of limiting the number of tickets they sell, so they do not overcrowd it. So the only location that it might get a little bit more crowded and you will walk slowly, so to say, is inside the castle itself, because as I said, the corridors are very narrow and you just have to wait for the people you cannot go very fast, particularly because everyone's wearing a costume, and if they're wearing high heels. The castle being 600 years old is not very accessible for limited mobility. There is no elevator that could take you up the castle. There's a big, an inclined, it's not a steep incline, but there's an incline area where you kind of have to go on, and then you climb the steps up that we've seen at the beginning of the video, and that's when you enter the castle. There is no elevator inside the castle. The only elevator was the one installed by Queen Mary, and that was just to take you underground from the bottom of the castle into the courtyard below where the party was. So that's the only thing.
It was pretty impressive for me. I didn't expect to be able to see so much of the castle on the tour, so I really look forward to that. How much of that changes year to year in the Halloween party, or does it stay the same?
So every Halloween party, of course, there might be minor changes, but they normally do the vampire gourmet dinner. They do the Halloween tour by night when the castle stays open and during the night, and then it's decorated for Halloween. You have all these people dressed up, all the actors reenacting, and then you have the party in the castle's grounds. Now, that's the general structure. I don't see it changing, if that was your question.
Just wondering the theming, I assumed that the rooms stay the same and everything, but I just didn't know if the videos and the theming stayed the same. We can jump into the questions if you'd like. Do you want to go ahead and read them off yourself, or do you want?
Sure.
Okay, great.
I don't think I ever heard that Vlad was married. What happened to his wife, and did they have children? He actually did have children with his wife. He had 2 children with his wife. He had 5 children with his mistress. His wife committed suicide at Poinar Fortress. And it happened because they were under attack by the Ottomans. And she didn't see any way of escaping. So she threw herself into the river below. And it is her screams that people say you can still hear. The children of Vlad the Impaler, the first one that ruled after him, was murdered by the Transylvanian Saxons because they didn't like him very much. And other children of Vlad the Impaler did not take the throne from then on. Any way up other than climbing 1,500 steps? Unfortunately, not at the moment, because it's under restoration. Maybe there is an option or an idea of installing a cable car or a funicular going up, but I cannot guarantee this. So I don't know. I haven't heard about it. It might happen, it might not. So right now, what I can guarantee is having to climb those steps by yourself. Weird questions, but did Vlad and his family walk up all those stairs too? If not, how did they get up there? There was a path through the mountains, and they've probably used horses. But in more modern times, they've paved the way, like the former mountain trail, with cement steps. So you know what? There's no donkeys or horses to take you up there, but that's a business idea. Do you personally believe these castles are haunted? Do you have any firsthand accounts? I do not have any firsthand accounts. I cannot say that I've ever heard the ghosts in any of these castles. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe the ghosts are avoiding me. Are the steps slippery? Sometimes the outdoor steps can become in case it rains, but generally no. You just have to pay attention to where you put your steps. How many years it took to build? I'm not entirely sure to which building they are referring, because this seems to be a question more at the beginning. How many people attended the party? I do not know the exact number, but it was in the hundreds. How far in advance do you need to book the tour? Now, there's something that I didn't share with you during the tour, but tonight, Elon Musk rented out Bran Castle for his very own private Halloween party. And he invited the world's billionaires to attend this Halloween party with him. And they've just recently announced it into the news. So now it's all over the news talking that Elon Musk rented out Bran Castle for Halloween, for the most exclusive Halloween party of the world, so to say. And I can tell you, because I'm here now, I know that all of the accommodations in and around Bran were completely booked out by Tesla. How old is the castle? If it's Bran Castle, it dates back to the 14th century. How long is the walk at Bran Castle? It really depends on your pace. So it takes me about 5 minutes to get up to the entrance. Maybe 10-15 minutes if you have a slower pace. Who owns Bran Castle today? So Bran Castle in 2006 was given back to the royal family, and it's owned by Dominic of Habsburg, who is actually the grandson of Queen Mary herself. Who is Vlad, the tour guide? Well, Vlad is my partner. He and I have been doing tours and virtual tours with Mara for more than 2 years. And he does a killer Bran Castle tour normally. And he also does the guided tour at the Halloween party, The tour is all in English. Was that arranged? Yes, it was arranged. We had a group in the house that we did the tour for, and it was in English. We do English tours. I think the child in the portrait with Queen Mary is her daughter, Princess Ilana. Yes, you are right. What else? I have heard the castle is drafty. Not entirely sure what drafty means. If it gets cold, yes, it gets cold. I'm wondering if it really is haunted. You have to come and see for yourself. Some of the people look older. Did they actually climb 1,500 steps up to the castle, or is there some type of way to get up to the castle? So I think there might be a confusion. The 1,500 steps are for Poinar Fortress, which is in a completely different area of the country. There's no 1,500 steps to go up to Bran Castle. So yes, the people that you saw in the video at Bran Castle were older, some of them even in their 70s or older. Some of them even had a cane, a walking cane that they helped themselves with, and they still did the tour fine. They went all the way from the beginning until the end with it, and they even attended the party. So Bran Castle, it's easier to do. Do many Romanian people oppose the view that Vlad Dracula has in the point of view because he sounds like a hero against the Ottomans? Yes, I would have to say that the Romanian people do consider Vlad the Impaler a hero because due to his actions, due to him, we have managed to maintain our traditional and our authentic culture. Otherwise, if he had lost in front of the Ottomans would have conquered us and we would be praying in mosques today. Did you ever experience any unusual events at any while in or near the castles? I know some people can feel some oddities. I know some people can feel, that's true. I personally did not experience any of them. How far is the Queen's Hospital from the actual castle, the hospital that Queen Mary founded when she lived in the castle? So Queen Mary actually turned Bran Castle into a hospital after and during the First World War. So there's no other hospital that I know of in Bran. This looks like fun. What's the weather like this time of year? Oh my God, we enjoyed amazing weather. At night, it can get colder, so it's in the 40s, but during the day, it's sunny and beautiful, and it was more in the 60s. No rain though, no wind, so it was just perfect. I have done the castle on Halloween. This is a very good representation. It is a blast. Well, thank you. What was the name of the last song at a party? It's called in Romanian, Dragostea din Tei. But if you type in on YouTube, Numa Numa, N-U-M-A, you'll definitely find it. Can you stay at the castle? No, you cannot. What is the cost of the Halloween party ticket? So there are several tickets that they sell. If you want to do just a Halloween tour by night, that's $20. If you want to do the Halloween tour by night with the Magic Tunnel, that's $25. If you want to attend the gourmet dinner, that's $90. If you want to do the full-on combo pass, that's a little bit more expensive. It's around $150. We, for the tour that we're going to do in 2024, include the full-on combo pass. So you're going to have dinner, tour by night, magic tunnel, and the party. Why is it called Bran Castle? That was the name of the village where the fortification was built. Fascinating, and it looks so fun. I happen to know descendants of the Brans that live here in the US. Interesting fact that one of the relatives married the descendant of the Mayflower voyage. Okay, not a question, but cool history. Were there any vaccination restrictions? No. Did any of Queen Mary's 6 children ascend to the throne? Yes, it was her firstborn son, King Carol II, which ended up being the 3rd king of Romania. Would the party be awkward for a single person? No, there's your chance. What are the bathroom accommodations for so many people who are drinking? So for the party, they install outside, just like in a festival, portaloos. So there are, I think I saw like around 20 of them. So you have to treat the party itself, where the drinking happens, like a festival. It's outside in the courtyard. I noticed that at Halloween party, guests were not wearing masks. It seems as though restrictions have been, yes, the restrictions have been lifted for more than 8 months now, or if not more. What did the party cost? I think that I already replied. How many people get to have the dinner on Halloween? The dinner at Halloween is a more exclusive experience because they host it in the restaurant found on the castle's grounds. And I think they have around 100 seats available. How many families did Vlad the Impaler kill, and why did he do it? I don't know the exact number of the families he killed, but he did it because he considered them his enemies. How did I don't know what the question is about here.
I think you've addressed all the questions.
I think I did good.
I did. Yeah, I agree. You did well. You did well. All right. Well, thank you very much, Georgiana, again. And for those of you out here who are still with us, if you would like to send a tip in, you could do that Venmo, PayPal, or through my website. I even added a QR code to this. So if you put your phone up to it and put your camera up, it will take you to a link so that you can leave a tip easily enough. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to email me at marawalsh@gmail.com or go on my website, girltraveltours.com. And we look forward to seeing you in the next virtual tours and on our Facebook group. Thank you again, Georgiana. Thanks, Vlad, for us as well. And happy Halloween to everybody out there. Take care.
Happy Halloween. Bye-bye.